Welcome to Criminal Chronicles, the channel where we explore the darkest and most mysterious true crime cases in history. Today, we examine one of the most chilling figures in American criminal history, a man whose influence over others created terror, fear, and chaos in California, a man who led a group of devoted followers and became one of the most infamous names in true crime history. This is the story of Charles Manson. Charles Manson was born in 1934 into a life of instability and neglect. His early years were marked by hardship. His mother struggled with the law, often leaving him in difficult situations. He spent much of his youth in various homes, reform schools, and correctional facilities. By the time he reached adulthood, Manson had learned how to manipulate people to his advantage. He knew how to charm, deceive, and control those around him, skills that would later define his life. As the 1960s unfolded, America was in a period of significant cultural change. Young people were exploring new ways of living, experimenting with freedom, and seeking communities that felt meaningful. This atmosphere became the perfect setting for someone like Manson. He recognized the desire for belonging and used it to gather a group of followers. Mostly young women, they were drawn to his charisma, his apparent wisdom, and the sense of purpose he offered. This group became known as the Manson Family, a collective that lived together, isolated from the outside world. They lived in the desert, at a ranch called Spawn Ranch, where Manson became the center of their lives. He provided food, shelter, attention, and drugs, but he also demanded loyalty, obedience, and complete trust in his vision. Slowly, he began to reshape their identities, convincing them that he was a visionary leader, someone with a unique understanding of the world, and that they were part of a grand plan. Manson's philosophy was centered on a concept he called Helter, Skelter. He believed that society was on the brink of collapse and that a large-scale conflict was inevitable. Manson convinced his followers that they needed to prepare for this future, that they had a special role to play in the events to come. He framed himself as the only person who could guide them through the chaos. Under his direction, the family engaged in a series of attacks that spread fear across California. While Manson did not personally commit these acts, his influence over his followers was absolute. He orchestrated, planned, and controlled, ensuring that his instructions were followed with precision. The result was a wave of terror that shook communities, leaving people unsure of where danger might strike next. What made Manson particularly chilling was the psychological grip he had on his followers. He was able to make them believe in his vision completely. He manipulated emotions, fostered dependency, and used fear and devotion to maintain control. Through his influence, ordinary people were convinced to carry out his plans, demonstrating the extraordinary power one individual could have over others. Law enforcement agencies were challenged at every turn. Investigators struggled to understand Manson's methods, his followers, and his plans. His charisma, intelligence, and unpredictability made it difficult to predict his next move. Each time authorities thought they had a lead, it seemed to slip through their fingers. Manson had mastered the art of appearing ordinary, blending in, and disappearing when needed. As the investigation unfolded, the public became increasingly aware of the threat. Newspapers reported on mysterious letters, cryptic messages, and reports of strange gatherings associated with the family. Communities were on edge. People feared the unknown, the invisible influence of a man who could inspire others to act in extreme ways. Eventually, Manson and his followers were arrested for various crimes, and further investigation revealed the extent of their influence and the attacks that had been carried out. The courtroom became a stage for Manson's dramatic presence. He behaved erratically, often shocking those in attendance, while his followers displayed unwavering loyalty. The trial became one of the most publicized and infamous in American history, drawing national attention. The convictions that followed sent Manson and several members of the family to prison for life. Yet even behind bars, his name remained notorious. He continued to attract media attention, letters from supporters, and public fascination. His influence, while diminished, was not entirely gone. The story of the Manson family continued to captivate audiences. Charles Manson's life is a study in manipulation, control, and influence. It demonstrates how a single individual can exert extraordinary power over others, leading them to commit acts they might never have imagined on their own. His story has been analyzed by psychologists, criminologists, and law enforcement experts seeking to understand the mechanisms of cult influence and the dangers of charismatic leaders. Even decades after his arrest, Manson's case continues to serve as a cautionary tale. Books, documentaries, and films revisit his life, his philosophy, and the fear he inspired. He remains a symbol of the extreme potential of human influence, a reminder that danger can take root wherever trust is misplaced and loyalty is exploited. Manson's story is not only about the chaos he caused, but also about the lessons it provides. It illustrates the importance of understanding psychology, the vulnerabilities of individuals seeking belonging, and the consequences of blind obedience. In studying his life, society is reminded of the thin line between fascination and fear, and the enduring impact one person can have when their influence goes unchecked. From his troubled beginnings, through his rise as a manipulative mastermind, to the widespread fear and control he exerted, Charles Manson's life is a story of power, obsession, and infamy. He demonstrated that influence can be as dangerous as direct action, and that the human mind can be a tool for both creation and destruction. His legacy is dark, complex, and unforgettable. The story of Charles Manson continues to intrigue and horrify. It is a story of how one individual can alter the course of many lives, and how the consequences of manipulation can echo for decades. Even now, new generations study his life, his methods, and the terrifying reach of his influence. While Manson has passed away, his story remains a stark warning. It reminds us that the most dangerous people are not always those who act alone with violence, but those who inspire, control, and manipulate others to carry out their vision. The legacy of Charles Manson is a testament to the enduring fascination and cautionary lessons of true crime history. His influence over the Manson family, his ability to inspire fear, and the psychological power he wielded make his story one of the most studied, disturbing, and memorable in American history. The tale of Charles Manson serves as a chilling example of how charisma, manipulation, and obsession can combine to create lasting terror. Even decades later, the story of Charles Manson continues to captivate true crime enthusiasts, scholars, and psychologists. It is a reminder that human nature can be fragile, influence can be dangerous, and that the power of one person over many can lead to unimaginable consequences. Charles Manson's life is a testament to the dark potential of influence, the dangers of devotion without question, and the enduring fascination of one of history's most notorious figures.